Continuing with our series on troubleshooting, as we've discussed, troubleshooting is extremely important when it comes to any job, right? You want to be an administrator, a tech, or whatever. Troubleshooting is something you cannot live without. You cannot survive without troubleshooting in the industry, right? So today we're going to continue with it. In the first one, we discussed troubleshooting. In this one, we're going to check out troubleshooting the email gateway, testing the email gateway using the listeners to be more specific. Now, what I'm talking about is a sinkhole listener, right? So when you run this command, the listener config, right? You go ahead and say new, right? There's an option for the sinkhole listener, and this is what I'm talking about, right? So you're going to select 3 to go for the sinkhole listener. Before we proceed further, let me tell you, the sinkhole listeners, it's going to help you out to test out your message generation systems. So message generation system is nothing but that generates the messages that are then received by your Cisco email security appliance. That's basically your message generation system. And it also helps you out to get a rough measure of the receiving performance of your Cisco email security gateway, right? Now, based on what option you select here, do you want the messages to be queued onto the disk? No or yes, right? Based on whatever you select, the Sinkhole listener can be a queuing listener or a non-queuing listener. So you have 2 options. If I go with N, it will be a non-queuing listener, right? And if I went with Y, as in the character Y, you'll find that it will be a queuing listener. So what is the difference between the queuing and the non-queuing, right? So the difference is with the queuing listener, it saves the message to the queue. With the non-queuing listener, it accepts the message, then immediately deletes it without saving it. The queuing listener saves the message, but then immediately deletes it from the queue, right? So the difference between the queuing and the non-queuing is in terms of what you actually want to test as well, right? With this behavior of saving the message to the queue or not saving the message to the queue. So if you are interested in measuring the performance of the entire injection portion of your message generation system, then queuing listener is what you need to go for. Okay, and when we talk about the non-queuing, which is the one we went for in this case, right? In the non-queuing listener, you're going to use that when you want to troubleshoot the connection from your message generation, the email generation system, to your Cisco email secure gateway, right? We went with the non-queuing. I'm going to show you that as well. Once I'm done with the configuration, please create a name. I'm going to say sync N for non-queuing management. If you want to know about QMQP, go ahead and check it out on my channel. I'm going to go with the SMTP in this case. I'm going to go for 586. Now, just want to show you like this is how you can configure it. So this is basically, um, as you can see right here, please specify the systems allowed to relay email through the Cisco ARM port. And this is basically going to be your message generation system that you mentioned here. And that's the IP address. I hit enter. A rate limit for this listener. I don't want to do that. I want to keep it at default. If you want to change it, you can change it. It's completely your choice. We went for sync N. We created a sync non-queuing because we selected N on that option, right? That's why you see non-queuing here. Now, quickly, if I wanted to show you the other option, do you want the message to be queued? In this case, let me say yes, and let's say sync yes, or sync queue as in queuing. Now, this one I'll create as queuing. Management, SMTP, 587. It's not going to let me create another 586. It's going to tell me the hell is wrong with you because it's already in use and so on. No, I don't want a rate limit. No, 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 blah, blah, blah. And there you go. So this is how you create the queuing listener, queuing sinkhole listener and a non-queuing sinkhole listener. And depending on what you want to test, you can create the listener accordingly. Now, once you go ahead and make these changes, blah, 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 you go ahead and commit it as well. Otherwise, obviously it's not going to take effect. Apart from this, once you're done with this configuration, you'll have to go ahead and configure or mention the IP address of your message generation system inside the hat table that I've covered in another video. You can go ahead and check that out on my channel as well. Sorry about that. So once you're done, let's say you're testing it now. So on the ESA, you can run the rate command or other commands, like for example, status detail and so on. Status detail, you understand how the performance is, sorry, what the messages received and so on. And right here, you understand how the resources are being utilized, right? So how's the ESA keeping up with the load and everything when you're trying to push, for example, let's say inject a large portion of messages using your message generation system and with the queuing or the non-queuing, depending on what you want to test, right? So rate and everything, you can check all of that using commands like rate, status, or status detail, and so on. Um, I guess I covered almost all of it. Um, if you want to read about it in detail, you can check it out on the user guides as well. You can refer to, for example, 14.0 general deployment guide. You'll find it in there. There's a diagram as well which explains, um, let's say, where your email generation system is, a diagrammatic representation of the concept that I just mentioned, and it gives you the same kind of details that I just mentioned. Yes, you can also, apart from this, I'm just checking it right now. So you can also monitor the system with the GUI. That's something you can do as well. You don't necessarily have to go ahead and run the commands, like in the CLI. You can do the monitoring from the GUI as well. It's completely your choice. Um, that you can do as well. Right. Please put in the comments and let me know if this was helpful or not, and if there's any changes you might want me to make or give you more information about something. Also, if you have any questions or anything else apart from the content related on this particular video, do let me know. I'll be happy to help. Um, what else? Now, yeah, for those of you who are new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe, share it with others, help me grow the channel that way. Um, and yeah, you have a great day. Thank you for watching the video.